Don't reach out or visit. We're done. The text from my dad came through at 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. I stared at the screen of my phone, sitting in my apartment in Portland, Oregon, still wearing my work clothes from the dental clinic where I managed the front desk. The words glowed against the dark background, cold and final. I typed back a single word. Understood. Then I set my phone on the kitchen counter and walked to the window. My hands were shaking, but not from sadness. It was something else entirely. Relief, maybe. Or the beginning of something I had been waiting for without realizing it. My name is Zoe. I am 27 years old, and I had just been officially disowned by my parents. The reason? My younger sister Paige convinced them I was jealous of her engagement, that I had been talking badly about her fiancé Brandon, and that I was trying to ruin her happiness. None of it was true, but the truth had never mattered much in my family. Paige was the golden child, the one who could do no wrong. I was the one who existed to support her, to stay in the background, to never ask for anything. What my parents did not know, what Paige did not know, was that for the past 3 years I had been the one paying their mortgage. Every single month. $1,500 transferred from my account to theirs, quietly, without fanfare. My parents thought Paige was the one helping them. She told them she was. She took the credit, basked in their gratitude, and let them believe she was their savior while I funded their lives from the shadows. I had my reasons for staying silent. Mostly, I did not want the conflict. I did not want to hear my mom defend Paige, did not want my dad to find some way to twist it into my fault. So I let it happen. I told myself it was easier this way. But now they were done with me. They had made it clear, and that changed everything. I picked up my phone and opened my banking app. The automatic payment to their mortgage account was scheduled to go through in 2 days. I stared at it for a long moment, then canceled it. Just like that. 3 years of payments, gone with a single tap. I felt a strange calm settle over me. I was not angry. I was not hurt. I was just done. The next morning, I woke up to 17 missed calls and 42 text messages. My phone had been on silent, and I had slept through the chaos. I sat up in bed, scrolling through the notifications with growing disbelief. My mom, my dad, Paige, even Brandon. All of them. Frantic. Zoe, call me right now. We need to talk. This is serious. Why aren't you answering? You need to fix this. I opened the thread from my mom first. Her messages started around 6 a.m. Zoe, the bank called. They said the mortgage payment didn't go through. Paige is checking her account, but she's confused. Please call me. Then, an hour later, Paige says she never set up any payments. What's going on? Did you do something? And finally, at 8 a.m., Zoe, answer your phone. Your father is furious. We need to figure this out now. I read through them all, one by one. My dad's messages were shorter, angrier. Paige's were defensive, full of exclamation points and accusations. Brandon's were awkward, trying to play peacemaker. I put the phone down and made myself coffee. I took my time. I showered, got dressed, even did my makeup. I was not going to rush. Not for this. By the time I finally called my mom back, it was almost 10 a.m. She answered on the first ring. Zoe, where have you been? We've been trying to reach you for hours. I was sleeping, I said calmly. What's going on? What's going on? Her voice was shrill, panicked. The mortgage payment didn't go through. The bank called us this morning saying we're going to be late if we don't pay by the end of the week. Paige checked her account, and she said she doesn't have any automatic payments set up. She doesn't know what happened. That's strange, I said, sipping my coffee. Strange? Zoe, this is a disaster. Your father and I can't afford this mortgage on our own. Paige has been helping us for 3 years. If she didn't set up the payment, then who did? I let the silence stretch out. I could hear my dad in the background, shouting something I could not make out. I don't know, Mom, I I said finally. Maybe you should ask Paige. We did ask Paige. She doesn't know anything. Zoe, do you know something about this? I took another sip of coffee. Why would I know anything about it? You told me not to reach out or visit. You said we were done, remember? There was a pause. I could hear her breathing, fast and shallow. Your father was upset. Paige told us you were saying terrible things about Brandon. We had to protect her. Right, I said. Well, I hope you figure it out. Good luck. I hung up before she could respond. The calls kept coming. I ignored most of them, but I read every text message. It was fascinating, watching the panic unfold in real time. Paige was scrambling. Her messages to me were a mix of confusion and anger. Zoe, Mom says you might know something about the mortgage payments. Do you? Why aren't you answering? This is serious. If you did something, you need to undo it. Mom and Dad are freaking out. I did not respond. Not yet. By the afternoon, my dad called. I almost did not pick up, but curiosity got the better of me. Zoe. His voice was tight, controlled. He was trying not to yell. We need to talk. About what? About the mortgage. Your mother told me you acted like you didn't care. That's not acceptable. This is a family emergency. Is it? I asked. Because last night you told me we were done, that I shouldn't reach out or visit. So I'm a little confused about why you're calling me now. Don't be difficult, he snapped. This is about your mother and me losing our house. You're really going to throw a tantrum over something Paige said? I'm not throwing a tantrum, I said evenly. I'm just following your instructions. You said we were done. I said understood, that's it. Zoe, stop playing games. Do you know anything about the mortgage payment or not? I paused, considering my options. I could tell him the truth right now. I could let it all spill out. Watch the revelation hit him like a freight train. But that felt too easy. Too quick. No, I lied. I don't know anything about it. Why would I? He exhaled, frustrated. Because you've always been involved in things you shouldn't be. Always sticking your nose where it doesn't belong. I almost laughed. Right. Well, I'm sure Paige will figure it out. She's the one who's been helping you, right? Yes, he said, but there was a hesitation in his voice now, a crack in the certainty. Then I'm sure she'll take care of it, I said. Good luck, Dad. I hung up. That evening, I sat on my couch with a glass of wine and thought about the past 3 years. I thought about the first time I sent them money, back when my mom called me crying because they were going to lose the house. My dad had just retired from his job as a high school teacher, and my mom's hours at the grocery store had been cut. They were drowning, and I could not stand the thought of them losing everything. So I helped. I set up the automatic payment, sent $1,500 a month and never told anyone. I figured it was the right thing to do. Family helps family, right? Then Paige came home from California for a visit. She had been living there for 2 years, working some vague job in marketing that she never really explained. She spent the whole weekend at their house, and by the time she left, my parents were singing her praises. Paige is sending us money every month, my mom told me over the phone. Can you believe it? She's been so generous. We're so proud of her. I remember sitting there, stunned. She's sending you money? $1,500 a month. She set up an automatic payment and everything. She didn't even tell us until we thanked her for the first deposit. She's so humble, Zoe. She didn't want to make a big deal out of it. I wanted to scream. I wanted to tell her the truth right then. But I did not. I told myself it did not matter. They were getting the help they needed. That was what mattered. But it did matter. It mattered every time my mom compared me to Paige. Every time my dad asked me why I could not be more like my sister. Every time Paige posted on social media about how blessed she was to be able to help her family. She was a liar, a fraud, and I had let it happen. Now, sitting on my couch, I realized how much I had been holding in, how much I had swallowed to keep the peace. But there was no peace. There never had been. There was just me, bending over backward for people who did not even see me. My phone buzzed. Another message from Paige. "Zoe, I know you're mad at me, but this isn't the time. Mom and Dad need help. Can you at least call them back?" I stared at the message. Then I typed out a reply. "Why don't you help them? You've been doing it for 3 years, right?" I hit send and watched the little dots appear as she typed back. "What are you talking about?" "The mortgage payments," I wrote. "The $1,500 a month. You're the one sending it, right?" The dots appeared and disappeared. Appeared and disappeared. Finally, her response came through. "Yes. Obviously. Why are you asking me this?" I smiled. "Just checking." I set my phone down and leaned back against the couch. She was doubling down. She was going to keep lying, even now, when the truth was about to destroy her. Good. I was going to let this play out. I was going to watch her scramble, watch my parents turn on her, watch the whole house of cards collapse. And I was not going to lift a finger to stop it. For the first time in years, I felt powerful. I felt like I had control. And I was just getting started. The next day, I went to work like nothing had happened. I checked patients in, answered phone calls, filed insurance claims. My coworkers asked me how I was doing, and I smiled and said I was great, and I meant it. At lunch, I sat in my car and checked my phone. 23 new messages. Most of them were from my mom, but there were a few from Paige and even one from Brandon. I opened Brandon's first. "Hey Zoe, I know things are tense right now, but I think there's been a misunderstanding. Paige is really stressed about the mortgage situation, and I think if you and her could just talk it out, everything would be fine. Let me know if you want to grab coffee or something." I almost felt bad for him. He had no idea what he was marrying into. Paige had probably painted me as the villain, the jealous older sister who could not stand to see her happy. And he believed it because he loved her. I could not even blame him. I deleted the message and moved on to my mom's. "Zoe, please. We're begging you. If you know anything about this, you need to tell us. The bank is threatening to start foreclosure proceedings if we don't catch up on the payments. Your father is beside himself. Please." Foreclosure. That was new. I felt a small pang of guilt, but I pushed it down. They had made their choice. They had chosen Paige over me, believed her lies without question, and told me to stay away. This was the consequence. I scrolled to Paige's messages. There were 5 of them, each more frantic than the last. "Zoe, I don't know what you're trying to prove, but this isn't funny. Mom and Dad are going to lose the house because of you. I can't believe you're doing this. You're so selfish. Fine. Don't answer me. But you're going to regret this. I'm coming to Portland. We need to talk face to face." I sat up straighter. She was coming here? That was unexpected. And bold. Paige hated Portland. She had visited me once, 2 years ago, and spent the whole time complaining about the rain and the coffee culture and how much she missed California. But now she was desperate enough to come back. That told me everything I needed to know. I texted her back. "When?" The response came within seconds. "Tomorrow. I'm driving up tonight. We need to fix this, Zoe. Mom and Dad are counting on us." Us. As if we were a team. As if she had not spent the last 3 years taking credit for my money. "Okay," I typed. "Let's talk." I gave her my address and told her to come by at 6 p.m. Then I put my phone away and finished my lunch. That evening, I cleaned my apartment. I did not know why. Maybe I wanted her to see that I was doing fine without them, that I had built a life here, small as it was. Or maybe I just wanted to feel like I had control over something. I thought about what I was going to say to her. I had played out a dozen different versions of the conversation in my head. In some of them, I was calm and collected, laying out the facts like a lawyer. In others, I yelled, letting years of resentment pour out. But none of them felt right. The truth was, I did not know what I wanted from this. An apology, acknowledgement, or just the satisfaction of watching her squirm. By the time I went to bed, I still had not decided, but I knew one thing for sure. I was not going to make this easy for her. The next day dragged. I kept checking the clock, counting down the hours until 6 p.m. My coworkers noticed I was distracted, but no one said anything. I was grateful for that. When I got home, I changed into jeans and a sweater, something casual but put together. I did not want to look like I was trying too hard. I poured myself a glass of water and sat on the couch, waiting. At 6:03 p.m., there was a knock on the door. I took my time getting up. I walked slowly to the door, paused for a moment, then opened it. Paige stood there looking exhausted. Her hair was pulled back in a messy bun, and she was wearing leggings and an oversized sweatshirt. She looked like she had been crying. "Hey," she said, her voice small. "Hey," I replied. "Can I come in?" I stepped aside and let her pass. She walked into the living room and sat on the couch without waiting for an invitation. I stayed standing, leaning against the wall with my arms crossed. "So," I said, "what did you want to talk about?" She looked up at me, her eyes red-rimmed. "Zoe, I don't understand what's happening. Mom and Dad are panicking, and they think you know something about the mortgage payments. Do you?" "Why would I know anything about it?" I asked. "Because," she hesitated, "because you've always been weird about money. You never spend anything. You're always saving. So I thought maybe you set something up and forgot about it or something." I almost laughed. Weird about money. That was how she saw me. Not responsible, not generous. Weird. "I didn't forget anything," I said. "Then what happened?" Her voice was rising now, frustration creeping in. "The payment stopped out of nowhere. The bank says there's no record of who was making them. Mom and Dad are going to lose the house, Zoe. Don't you care?" I looked at her for a long moment. She really believed her own lies. She had convinced herself so thoroughly that she was the hero of this story that she could not even see the truth when it was staring her in the face. "I care," I said quietly. "I've always cared. That's the problem." She frowned, confused. "What does that mean?" "It means," I said, "that you're not the one who's been paying the mortgage, Paige. I am." The room went silent. Her face went pale. "What?" "You heard me." Paige stared at me like I had just spoken a different language. Her mouth opened, then closed. She shook her head slowly, like she could shake away what I had just said. "That's not funny," she said finally. "I'm not joking. You're lying." Her voice was sharper now, defensive. "Why would you be paying their mortgage? That doesn't even make sense. I'm the one who's been helping them." "Really?" I pushed off the wall and walked closer. "When did you set up the payments, Paige? What bank did you use? How much have you sent them total?" She blinked. I don't have to answer that." "You can't answer that," I corrected, "because you never sent them a single dollar. I did. $1,500 every month for 3 years. That's $54,000, by the way, in case you were wondering." Her face flushed red. "You're insane. Mom and Dad told me I was helping them. They thanked me for it." "Because you told them you were the one sending the money," I said. "You saw the deposits coming in, and you claimed them as your own." You took credit for something you never did. That's not... I didn't... She was stammering now, grasping for an explanation. How was I supposed to know you were sending money? You never said anything. Exactly, I said. I never said anything. And you never asked. You just saw an opportunity to look like the hero and you took it. She stood up, her hands clenched into fists. This is ridiculous. If you really were paying their mortgage, why didn't you tell anyone? Why would you keep it a secret? Because I didn't need the credit, I said. I was doing it to help them, not to get praised for it. But you wouldn't understand that, would you? Don't act like you're some martyr, she spat. If this is even true, which I seriously doubt, then you're just as much to blame for this mess. You could have said something at any time. You're right, I said calmly. I could have, but I didn't think my own sister would be shameless enough to lie about it. She glared at me, her chest heaving. Prove it. If you're telling the truth, prove it. I walked to my desk in the corner of the living room and pulled out my laptop. I opened it, pulled up my bank statements, and turned the screen toward her. There, I said. 3 years of payments. Same amount, same date every month. Direct deposit to their mortgage account. She leaned forward, squinting at the screen. I watched her face as she scrolled through the transactions. The color drained from her cheeks. Her hands started to shake. This doesn't prove anything, she said weakly. You could have faked this. Faked 3 years of bank records? I laughed. Come on, Paige. Even you don't believe that. She backed away from the laptop, shaking her head. Why are you doing this? Why are you trying to ruin everything? I'm not ruining anything, I said. You did that yourself. You lied to Mom and Dad. You let them believe you were supporting them while I actually did the work. And now that the truth is coming out, you're scrambling to cover your ass. They're going to lose the house because of you, she shouted. You stopped the payments. You're the one hurting them. I stopped the payments because Dad told me we were done, I said. He told me not to reach out or visit. He made it very clear I wasn't part of this family anymore. So I did what he asked. I stopped reaching out. I stopped visiting. And I stopped paying. You're punishing them because your feelings got hurt? Her voice was incredulous. That's so petty, Zoe. No, I said quietly. I'm protecting myself. I spent 3 years helping them, and they kicked me out of their lives over a lie you told them. A lie you're still trying to defend. She crossed her arms, her jaw tight. What do you want from me? An apology? Fine. I'm sorry. Is that what you need to hear? I don't want your apology, I said. I want you to tell Mom and Dad the truth. Her eyes widened. What? Tell them the truth, I repeated. Tell them you lied. Tell them I was the one paying the mortgage, not you. Tell them you took credit for something you never did. I can't do that, she whispered. Why not? Because... She looked away, her voice breaking. Because they'll hate me. For a moment, I almost felt sorry for her. Almost. But then I remembered every time she had smiled while my parents praised her. Every time she had posted on social media about being blessed to help her family. Every time she had let me fade into the background while she soaked up their love. They should hate you, I said. You lied to them. You used me. And now you're trying to blame me for the consequences. She sank back down onto the couch, her head in her hands. I didn't mean for it to go this far. When they first thanked me for the money, I thought maybe you had told them to say it was from me or something. And then it kept happening. And I didn't know how to correct it without looking stupid. So you just kept lying. I didn't think it mattered, she said, looking up at me with tears in her eyes. You never said anything, so I figured you didn't care. I thought maybe you wanted me to take the credit. That's the most delusional thing I've ever heard. Well, what do you want me to do now? She demanded. You already stopped the payments. Mom and Dad are going to lose the house. How is telling them the truth going to fix that? It won't fix it, I admitted, but it will stop you from blaming me for your mistakes. She wiped her eyes, smearing mascara across her cheeks. If I tell them, they'll never forgive me. That's not my problem. It is your problem, she shouted. We're family, Zoe. You can't just walk away from us. You walked away from me first, I said. You and Mom and Dad. You chose to believe I was jealous and petty and trying to ruin your engagement. You didn't even ask for my side of the story. You just cut me off. So don't talk to me about family. She stared at me, her face crumpling. I never wanted this. Then you shouldn't have lied. She stood up, grabbing her purse. I need to go. Are you going to tell them? She didn't answer. She just walked to the door, her shoulders slumped. Paige, I called after her. She stopped, her hand on the doorknob. If you don't tell them, I will. She turned to look at me, her eyes red and swollen. You really hate me, don't you? I don't hate you, I said. I just don't trust you anymore. She left without another word. After Paige left, I sat on the couch and stared at the closed door. My hands were still steady, my breathing calm. I had expected to feel something, anger or guilt or satisfaction, but all I felt was tired. I picked up my phone and saw 3 new messages from my mom. Zoe, Paige is on her way to see you. Please talk to her. We need to figure this out together. Your father and I are trying to stay calm, but this is really serious. The bank gave us until the end of the month. Please call me when Paige leaves. I want to make sure you two worked things out. I set the phone down without responding. Let them wait. Let them wonder. I was done rushing to fix their problems. The next 2 days were quiet. Paige didn't text me. My parents didn't call. It was like everyone was holding their breath, waiting for someone else to make the first move. Then, on Friday afternoon, my mom called. I was at work, sitting at the front desk, when her name lit up my screen. I let it ring 3 times before I answered. Hi, Mom. Zoe. Her voice was strained. We need to talk. About what? About the mortgage, about Paige, about everything. She paused. Can you come to the house this weekend? I thought Dad said I wasn't supposed to visit. He didn't mean it, she said quickly. He was upset. We both were. But we need to sit down as a family and sort this out. I leaned back in my chair, watching a patient sign in at the desk. Did Paige tell you? Tell me what? So she hadn't. Paige had gone home, faced our parents, and said nothing. She was still hoping this would all blow over, that she could find a way out without admitting the truth. Nothing, I said. What time do you want me there? Tomorrow at noon? I'll make lunch. Okay. Thank you, Zoe. Her voice cracked. I know things have been hard lately, but we're still a family. We can fix this. I didn't respond to that. I just told her I'd see her tomorrow and hung up. That night, I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about what I was going to say, how I was going to handle it. Part of me wanted to walk in there and lay everything out, bank statements and all, and watch Paige squirm. But another part of me just wanted to walk away, to let them drown in their own mess and never look back. By the time I pulled into my parents' driveway the next day, I still hadn't decided. The house looked the same as it always did. Small, 1-story, with a neatly trimmed lawn and flowers my mom planted every spring. I sat in my car for a minute, gathering my thoughts. Then I got out and walked to the front door. My mom opened it before I could knock. She looked exhausted, her eyes puffy, and her hair pulled back in a loose ponytail. Zoe, she said, pulling me into a hug. I'm so glad you came. I hugged her back stiffly. "Where's Dad?" "In the living room with Paige." Of course, Paige was already here, probably trying to control the narrative before I arrived. I followed my mom inside. The living room was just as I remembered, cluttered with family photos and old furniture. My dad sat in his recliner, his arms crossed, his face set in a deep scowl. Paige was on the couch, looking pale and nervous. "Zoe," my dad said. He didn't stand up. "Sit down." I sat in the chair across from him, folding my hands in my lap. "Your mother tells me you and Paige talked," he said. "Did you two work things out?" I glanced at Paige. She was staring at the floor, her jaw clenched. "Not exactly," I said. "Well, we need to work it out now," he said. "This mortgage situation is getting out of hand. The bank is threatening foreclosure. We need to figure out where these payments were coming from and why they stopped." "They stopped because I canceled them," I said. The room went silent. My dad frowned. "What are you talking about?" "The mortgage payments," I said calmly. "I'm the one who's been making them for the past 3 years, and I stopped because you told me we were done." My mom's face went white. "Zoe, what are you saying?" "I'm saying I've been paying your mortgage," I repeated. $1,500 a month, for 3 years. Not Paige, me. My dad looked at Paige. "Is this true?" Paige didn't answer. She just sat there, frozen. "Paige," my mom said, her voice shaking. "Answer your father." I didn't know," Paige stammered. I mean, you both told me I was the one helping. I didn't realize." "Didn't realize what?" my dad demanded. "That you weren't actually sending us money?" "I thought maybe Zoe was doing it on my behalf or something," Paige said desperately. "I didn't know it was just her." I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. "Here," I said, holding it out to my dad. 3 years of payments. You can see the dates, the amounts, everything." He took the phone, his hands trembling. He scrolled through the transactions, his face darkening with every swipe. $54,000, he said quietly. "You sent us $54,000. "Yes." He looked at Paige. "And you knew about this?" "No," Paige said. "I swear I didn't know." "But you took credit for it," my mom said, her voice breaking. "You let us thank you. You let us think you were the one helping us." "I didn't mean to," Paige cried. I thought it was a misunderstanding at first, and then it was too late to correct it." "Too late," my dad roared. "You've been lying to us for 3 years." "I wasn't lying," Paige shouted back. "I just didn't correct a mistake." "That's the same thing," he yelled. My mom sank down onto the couch, her face in her hands. "I can't believe this. I can't believe you would do this, Paige." "What about Zoe?" Paige said, pointing at me. "She's the one who stopped the payments. She's the reason you're losing the house." "Because you told me not to reach out or visit," I said, looking at my dad. "You said we were done, so I stopped paying." He stared at me, his mouth opening and closing like he wanted to argue but couldn't find the words. "You kicked me out of this family," I continued. "You believed Paige's lies about me without even asking for my side. And now you're mad because I'm not bailing you out anymore?" "We didn't know," my mom whispered. "We didn't know it was you." "You should have known," I said. "You should have asked. But you didn't, because it was easier to believe Paige was the perfect daughter and I was the problem." The silence in the room was suffocating. My dad sat frozen in his recliner, my phone still in his hand. My mom was crying quietly on the couch. Paige looked like she wanted to disappear. "I don't understand," my dad said finally. "Why didn't you tell us you were helping? Why keep it a secret?" "Because I didn't need the recognition," I said. "I was doing it because you needed help, and I could afford to give it. I didn't think I needed to announce it." But you let Paige take the credit, my mom said, wiping her eyes. Why would you do that? I didn't let her take the credit, I said. She took it on her own, and by the time I found out, you were already so proud of her that I didn't want to ruin it. So you just said nothing? My dad asked. What was I supposed to say? I shot back. That Paige was a liar? That your golden child was a fraud? You wouldn't have believed me anyway. That's not fair, my mom said. Isn't it? I looked at her. When Paige told you I was jealous of her engagement, you believed her immediately. You didn't ask me if it was true. You just cut me off. So yeah, I think it's fair. My dad set my phone down on the table. This is a mess. Yes, I agreed. It is. He looked at Paige. You need to explain yourself. I already did, she said, her voice small. I made a mistake. I should have said something earlier, but I didn't. I'm sorry. Sorry doesn't fix this, he said. You lied to us for 3 years. You let us thank you for something you never did. And now we're losing our house because your sister stopped paying for it. Don't blame me for that, Paige said. Zoe chose to stop the payments. She could have kept helping. Why should I asked. You all made it very clear I'm not part of this family anymore. We didn't mean it like that, my mom said weakly. Yes, you did, I said. You meant every word. And now that you need me again, you want to pretend it didn't happen. Zoe, please, my mom begged. We made a mistake, we're sorry, but we need your help. We can't lose this house. I looked at her, at the desperation in her eyes, and I felt nothing. No sympathy, no guilt, no obligation. Just a cold, detached calm. You should have thought about that before you disowned me, I said. We didn't disown you, my dad said. You told me not to reach out or visit. You said we were done. What else would you call that? He didn't answer. I stood up. I came here because you asked me to. I told you the truth because you deserved to know, but I'm not going to keep paying for a family that doesn't want me. Zoe, wait, my mom said, standing up. Please don't leave like this. We can work this out. There's nothing to work out, I said. You made your choice. Now you have to live with it. What about us? My dad asked. What are we supposed to do? I don't know, I said. Maybe Paige can help. She's been so generous for the past 3 years, right? Paige glared at me. You're really going to do this? You're going to let them lose everything just to prove a point? I'm not proving a point, I said. I'm protecting myself. Something I should have done a long time ago. I walked to the door and my mom followed me. Zoe, please, she said, grabbing my arm. I know we hurt you. I know we made mistakes. But we're still your family. I gently pulled my arm away. Family doesn't treat each other the way you treated me. We'll make it right, she said desperately. We'll apologize to you publicly. We'll tell Paige she was wrong. Just please don't abandon us. You abandoned me first, I said. I walked out the door and got into my car. My mom stood on the porch crying, but I didn't look back. I started the engine and drove away. As I drove, my phone started buzzing with messages. I ignored them. I knew what they would say. They would beg and plead and make promises they wouldn't keep. They would try to guilt me into coming back, into saving them one more time. But I was done saving them. When I got home, I poured myself a glass of wine and sat on the couch. I felt lighter than I had in years. Free. My phone buzzed again. This time, it was Brandon. Hey Zoe, Paige told me what happened. I just want you to know I had no idea about any of this. I'm really sorry you got caught up in all this drama. If you need someone to talk to, I'm here. I stared at the message. Poor Brandon. He really had no idea what kind of family he was marrying into. I typed back, "Thanks. Good luck with everything." Then I blocked his number, and my parents' numbers, and Paige's, I was done with all of them. The next few days were strange. I kept expecting to feel guilty, to second-guess my decision, but I didn't. I just felt relieved. Then, a week later, I got an email from my dad. I almost deleted it without reading, but curiosity got the better of me. "Zoe, I know you don't want to hear from us, but I need to tell you something. The bank agreed to give us an extension on the mortgage. We have 3 months to catch up on the payments. Your mother and I are going to take out a loan to cover it. We don't expect you to help anymore. We understand why you're angry, and we don't blame you. But I want you to know that we're sorry. We should have believed you. We should have asked questions instead of just accepting what Paige told us. We failed you as parents, and I don't know if we can ever make that right. But I hope someday you'll be able to forgive us. Love, Dad." I read the email 3 times. Then I closed it and deleted it. Maybe someday I would forgive them, but not today. Today, I was choosing myself. And that felt like enough. I thought about Paige, about how she must be dealing with the fallout. My parents knew the truth now. They knew she had lied, that she had taken credit for something she never did. I wondered if they would ever look at her the same way again. Part of me hoped they wouldn't. But mostly, I just hoped I would never have to think about any of them again. I opened my laptop and started looking at apartments in Seattle. Maybe it was time for a fresh start. A new city, a new job, a new life where I didn't have to carry the weight of people who didn't appreciate me. For the first time in years, I felt like I could breathe. 3 weeks passed. I didn't hear from my parents, and I didn't reach out. I threw myself into work, picked up extra shifts at the dental clinic, and started seriously planning my move to Seattle. I found an apartment online, a small 1-bedroom with a view of the water. It felt like a new beginning. Then, on a Tuesday afternoon, my boss called me into her office. "Zoe, you have a visitor," she said, looking uncomfortable. I frowned. "Who?" "Your mother." My stomach dropped. I had blocked their numbers, but I hadn't thought about them showing up in person. I should have known they wouldn't give up that easily. "Tell her I'm busy," I said. I did. She said she'd wait. I closed my eyes and took a deep breath. Fine. I'll talk to her, but only for 5 minutes. My mom was sitting in the waiting room, her hands folded in her lap. She looked smaller than I remembered, older. When she saw me, she stood up quickly. "Zoe, thank you for seeing me. I didn't have much choice," I said. "What do you want?" "Can we talk somewhere private?" I led her outside to the small courtyard behind the clinic. We sat on a bench, and I waited for her to speak. "Your father and I got the loan," she said. "We're going to be able to keep the house." "Good for you." "Zoe, please don't be like this." "Like what?" I asked. "You showed up at my workplace unannounced. What did you expect?" She looked down at her hands. "I know you're angry. You have every right to be. But I need you to understand something. We didn't know it was you paying the mortgage. If we had known, we never would have believed Paige's lies. But you did believe them," I said. "That's the point. You believed I was jealous and petty without even asking me. You chose her over me, just like you always have." "That's not true." "It is true," I said. "Paige has always been your favorite. I've spent my whole life trying to earn the love you gave her without question. And I'm done. I'm done competing for your attention. I'm done trying to be good enough." Tears streamed down her face. "You were always good enough. We didn't see it. We didn't appreciate you the way we should have." "No," I agreed. "You didn't." "What can we do to make this right?" she asked. "Tell me what you need from us." "I don't need anything from you," I said. That's what I've been trying to tell you. I don't need your approval or your gratitude or your love. I'm fine on my own. But we're your family. You stopped being my family when you told me we were done, I said. I'm just following through on what you started. She reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Zoe, please. Your father is devastated. Paige is... She's not doing well. She and Brandon called off the engagement. I felt a flicker of surprise, but I kept my face neutral. That's not my problem. She told him the truth about the mortgage, my mom continued. He said he couldn't trust her anymore. She's been staying with us, crying every day. She knows she made a terrible mistake. Good, I said. Maybe now she'll understand what consequences feel like. My mom looked at me like I was a stranger. When did you become so cold? I'm not cold, I said. I'm just done being the one who sacrifices everything while everyone else takes and never gives back. We gave you a home. We raised you. We loved you. You gave Paige a home, I corrected. You raised her. You loved her. I was just there. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Mom. You taught me that. She stood up, wiping her eyes. I came here hoping we could fix this, but I see now that you've already made up your mind. I have. Then I guess this is goodbye. I guess it is. She walked away, her shoulders shaking. I watched her go, waiting for the guilt to hit me. But it didn't. I just felt tired. When I went back inside, my boss pulled me aside. Everything okay? Yeah, I said. Everything's fine. If you need to take the rest of the day off, I don't, I said. I'm good. And I was. I was better than I had been in years. That night, I got a text from an unknown number. I almost didn't open it, but something made me click on it. Zoe, it's Paige. I know you blocked me, but I needed to reach out. Brandon and I broke up. He said he can't marry someone he doesn't trust. Mom told me she talked to you today. I know you don't care, but I just want you to know that I'm sorry. I'm sorry for lying. I'm sorry for taking credit for what you did. I'm sorry for ruining everything. I don't expect you to forgive me. I just wanted you to know. I hope you're happy, wherever you are. I read the message 3 times. Then I deleted it. I didn't owe her forgiveness. I didn't owe her anything. I opened my laptop and booked a flight to Seattle for the following week. It was time to start over. The week flew by. I gave my 2 weeks' notice at the dental clinic, packed up my apartment, and said goodbye to the few friends I had made in Portland. No one asked too many questions. I told them I was ready for a change, and they nodded like they understood. On my last day of work, my coworkers threw me a small goodbye party. There was cake and cards and well wishes. It felt surreal, like I was watching someone else's life. You're going to do great in Seattle, my boss said, hugging me. They're lucky to have you. Thanks, I said. I appreciate everything you've done for me. Stay in touch, okay? I will. I wouldn't, but it was easier to lie. The morning I left for Seattle, I took one last drive through Portland. I passed the coffee shop where I used to get my morning latte, the park where I used to walk on weekends, the grocery store where I bought the same things every week. It all felt like a different lifetime. When I got to the airport, I checked my phone one last time. There were no new messages, no missed calls. My family had finally stopped reaching out. Good. I boarded the plane and didn't look back. Seattle was everything I hoped it would be. The apartment was perfect. The city was vibrant, and I found a job at a dental practice within 2 weeks. My new boss was kind. My coworkers were friendly, and for the first time in my life, I felt like I could just exist without constantly proving myself. I started going to therapy. My therapist, a woman named Dr. Hayes, helped me work through everything that had happened. She didn't judge me for cutting off my family. She didn't tell me I needed to forgive them. She just listened. "You did what you needed to do to protect yourself," she said during one of our sessions. "That's not selfish. That's survival." "Sometimes I feel guilty," I admitted. "Like maybe I should have tried harder to fix things." "Why?" she asked. "What would that have accomplished?" "I don't know. Maybe they would have changed." "People don't change unless they want to," she said gently. "And from what you've told me, they weren't willing to do the work." She was right. I knew she was right. But it still hurt sometimes, knowing I didn't have a family to go home to anymore. 3 months after I moved to Seattle, I got a letter in the mail. It was from my dad. I almost threw it away without opening it, but curiosity won. "Zoe, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I thought you should know that we sold the house. We couldn't afford the loan payments, and we didn't want to risk foreclosure. We're renting a smaller place now, something more manageable. Your mother is working full-time again, and I picked up some tutoring jobs to help with the bills. Paige moved out. She got an apartment in California and says she's doing better. I don't know if that's true. She doesn't talk to us much anymore. I think she blames us for how things turned out with Brandon. Maybe she's right to. We've made a lot of mistakes as parents, and I'm starting to see that now. I don't expect you to forgive us. I just wanted you to know that we're trying to do better. We're trying to take responsibility for our actions. I hope you're doing well, wherever you are. I hope you're happy. You deserve that. Love, Dad." I read the letter twice, then folded it and put it in a drawer. I didn't respond. I didn't know what to say. Part of me felt vindicated. They had lost the house. They were struggling. Paige had lost Brandon. The consequences I had hoped for had come to pass, but another part of me just felt sad. Sad that it had come to this. Sad that they couldn't have done better when it mattered. I went to therapy that week and told Dr. Hayes about the letter. "How do you feel about it?" she asked. "I don't know," I said honestly. "I thought I'd feel satisfied, but I just feel empty." "That's normal," she said. "Revenge doesn't always feel the way we think it will." "I didn't do this for revenge," I said. "I did it because I needed to protect myself." "I know," she said. "But there was still a part of you that wanted them to understand what they put you through. And now they do. The question is, what do you do with that?" "Nothing," I said. "I don't do anything. I just keep moving forward." She smiled. "That sounds like a good plan." And it was. I kept going to work, kept going to therapy, kept building a life in Seattle. I made new friends, started dating casually, and even adopted a cat named Luna. My life wasn't perfect, but it was mine. And that was enough. 6 months after I moved to Seattle, I ran into someone from my past. I was at a coffee shop near my apartment when I heard a familiar voice. "Zoe?" I turned and saw Brandon standing there, looking just as surprised as I felt. "Brandon?" I said. "What are you doing here?" "I moved here a few months ago," he said. "After everything with Paige. I needed a fresh start. What about you?" "Same." We stood there awkwardly for a moment, then he gestured to an empty table. "Do you have time to talk?" I hesitated, then nodded. "Sure." We sat down with our coffees, and for a while neither of us spoke. "I'm sorry about what happened," I said finally. "With you and Paige." He shook his head. "Don't be. It was my decision. I couldn't marry someone I didn't trust." "She told you the truth about the mortgage?" "She did," he said. "After your parents found out, she broke down and told me everything. I wanted to make it work. I really did. But every time I looked at her, I wondered what else she was lying about." I couldn't do it. "I'm sorry," I said again. "I'm not," he said. "I dodged a bullet, and honestly, I owe you for that. If you hadn't stopped those payments, I never would have known who I was really marrying." I didn't know what to say to that. "How are you doing?" he asked. "Are you happy here?" "I am," I said. "It's been good for me. A fresh start, like you said." "Good. You deserve it." He paused. "For what it's worth, I always thought your family treated you unfairly. Paige used to talk about you sometimes, and I could tell there was more to the story than she was letting on. Why didn't you say anything?" "I don't know," he admitted. "I guess I didn't think it was my place. But I should have. Maybe things would have turned out differently." "Maybe," I said. "Or maybe they would have turned out exactly the same." We talked for another half hour, catching up on our lives. He told me about his new job, his new apartment, his plans for the future. I told him about my job, my cat, my therapy. It felt good to talk to someone who understood, even just a little bit. When we said goodbye, he hugged me. "Take care of yourself, Zoe." "You too." As I walked home, I thought about everything that had happened. My parents losing their house, Paige losing Brandon, the family I used to know falling apart. I had wanted consequences, and I had gotten them. But Dr. Hayes was right. It didn't feel the way I thought it would. It didn't feel triumphant or satisfying. It just felt like closure. That night, I sat on my couch with Luna curled up beside me and thought about my revenge journey. I had set out to protect myself, to stop letting people take advantage of me. And I had done that. I had set boundaries. I had walked away from toxicity. I had chosen myself. But revenge wasn't about making them suffer. It was about freeing myself from the need for their approval, their love, their validation. It was about realizing that I didn't need them to see my worth for it to be real. I picked up my phone and opened my email. I typed out a message to my dad. "Dad, I got your letter. I'm glad you and Mom are doing okay. I'm glad you're taking responsibility for your mistakes. I'm not ready to reconcile, and I don't know if I ever will be. But I want you to know that I'm doing well. I'm happy. I've built a good life for myself here, and I'm proud of that. I hope you can be proud of it too, even from a distance. Take care. Zoe." I read it 3 times, then hit send before I could change my mind. I didn't know if he would respond. I didn't know if it would change anything. But it felt like the right thing to do. Not for them, for me. In the months that followed, my parents struggled to rebuild their lives. They lost the house they had lived in for 20 years and moved into a cramped 2-bedroom rental on the other side of town. My dad's tutoring jobs barely covered their bills, and my mom's full-time hours at the grocery store left her exhausted and resentful. They stopped talking about Paige's accomplishments at family gatherings because there were no more accomplishments to brag about. Paige herself moved back to California, alone and humiliated, working a job she hated to pay for an apartment she could barely afford. Brandon never spoke to her again. The golden child had fallen, and there was no one left to catch her. As for me, I never went back. I built a life in Seattle that was wholly mine, filled with people who valued me for who I was, not for what I could give them. Some days I thought about my family and felt a pang of something I couldn't quite name. But most days, I just felt free. I had walked away from people who couldn't see my worth, and in doing so, I had finally learned to see it myself. The revenge I sought wasn't in their suffering, but in my liberation. And that was the sweetest victory of all.